Item 6 today is a Welsh Conservatives debate on the Sustainable Farming Scheme, and I call on James Evans to move the motion.
Diolch, Deputy Presiding Officer, and I move the motion tabled in the name of my colleague, Dara Miller. Today I stand to open this debate with a very heavy heart, burdened by the potential devastation facing rural Wales. The Welsh Government's proposed Sustainable Farming Scheme in its current form threatens the very fabric of our communities. It threatens the fabric of our farmers, our families, our friends, and the whole of rural Wales. The Welsh Government's own commissioned impact assessment figures paint a grim picture. 5,500 job losses, 122,000 livestock units lost, and to top it all off, a staggering £199 million loss to the economy. Those numbers I quote aren't mere statistics. They represent real people, real families, and I'm not talking alarmist nonsense, as our First Minister indicated to me last week. This is the Welsh Government's own commissioned impact assessment. These impacts are the concerns from seasoned farmers to the bright eyes of our young farmers and the wider associated businesses. The Sustainable Farming Scheme in its current form casts a long shadow of uncertainty and unworkability for many farming businesses in Wales. At the heart of our anxieties lies the potential erosion of the very foundation of rural communities. The projected decline in farm income due to reduced output and increased compliance costs threatens the livelihoods of countless families who have dedicated generations to stewarding the land. This economic anxiety extends far beyond the farm gate. The potential widespread job losses across the entire agricultural sector would ripple through the very fabric of our communities, impacting agricultural supply chains, local businesses, and the overall economy of Wales. One element which worries me and my group hugely in the current Sustainable Farming Scheme proposal is the potential threat to the very food security of Wales. The projected reduction in livestock numbers, particularly sheep, would impact our own nation's food security. This decline, coupled with potential decrease in agricultural output, could lead to an increased resilience on food imports, compromising quality and environmental standards. Our farmers in Wales produce the best food in the world, and they should be rewarded properly for doing that. It is often quoted by ministers that the Sustainable Farming Scheme has been 7 years in the making. However, this final draft has come as a shock to many in the sector, including the farming unions and those farmers who sat on the co-design groups. The tree planting and habitat targets are unworkable and were asked to be removed. And some of the universal actions are downright insulting to farmers, and it will force many of them off the land or become reliant on bureaucrats or consultants. That's something none of us want to see. This has been evidenced by the unprecedented numbers that have attended the consultation events up and down Wales. It is testament to the strength of feeling that the farming unions are working together on this. And I think the numbers coming to Cardiff Bay today are a plea to the Welsh Government to listen to their concerns and to start being a friend to rural Wales. I am pleased that the Minister and First Minister have met with farming representatives and the unions. And yesterday you published a joint statement outlining the next steps and some announcements in areas where the Welsh Government is looking to make changes in regards to TB, nitrate vulnerable zones and the Sustainable Farming Scheme itself. And the response from the farming unions has been positive. But warm words, Minister, will only go so far. And actions to address the defects in the Sustainable Farming Scheme and in certain policies are what are needed from this government to reassure the farming community that you are listening. Farmers are not adverse to change. They have adapted over years to many of the Welsh Government schemes, such as Tir Gofal, Glastier, woodland creation schemes and different types of habitat schemes that have come out from the government. These schemes in the past have delivered the conservation benefits and carried out the ask that the Welsh Government has told them to do. The environmental actions in the Sustainable Farming Scheme can only be brought about with the cooperation of our farmers. It is essential that the Welsh Government work with farmers to make a scheme that is workable, achievable, and one will ensure that our farmers keep farming. One element which is very important to me and to many members is the mental health of our farmers. Rural mental health charities have been ringing off the hook with people who are seriously concerned about their future and their mental health is being detrimented. And I want to say to those farmers, if there's anybody listening out there, don't suffer in silence at home alone. Seek out help and support because the rural communities across Wales will support you. Let us not underestimate the seriousness of this situation. We stand at a crossroads. Does this current Welsh Government pursue a path paved with job losses and economic hardship? Or do we together find a way and a solution that safeguards our rural communities and our environment, and more importantly, our farmers? I urge the Welsh Government to listen to the cries of the farmers outside and across Wales, engage in an open dialogue, acknowledge their concerns and work collectively to refine the sustainable farming scheme. Because I always like to say to everybody in this chamber, a sustainable future doesn't come at the cost of rural communities. We need a balanced approach, one that protects the environment while nurturing the economy. Together, we can build a Wales that thrives, where environmental responsibility goes hand in hand with vibrant farming communities. I urge every member in this chamber today to do the right thing for our farmers in rural Wales. Support our motion. Be the friend that farmers and our rural communities need. This is our chance to send a clear message to the people of rural Wales that we are on your side and we in this chamber are your friend. Yeah.